Hey, Bungo Stray Dogs fans! Welcome back to our channel. Today, we have some exciting news and speculations to share with you. We'll be discussing the much-anticipated Bungo Stray Dogs Season 5 Episode 12. When is it coming out, and what could be the possible plotline? Stick around to find out. Bungo Stray Dogs Season 5 Episode 11 Recap. Episode 11 of Bungo Stray Dogs Season 5, titled Twilight Goodbye, begins with Aya struggling with the table. At that moment, the vampires unleash millions of missile rockets, Fukuzawa bites at Sushi, and Fukuzawa wakes up. Bram comforts Aya, but she laughs as she is a wielder of justice and she has just the right thing, herself. She falls on the table, and after a heartbeat, the sword comes off and the table and Aya fall. Meanwhile, Fukuzawa attacks, but Fukuchi guesses his move. He stabs him with his time-space sword, but that is exactly what Fukuzawa wanted, and he pushes Fukuchi away. He uses the same sword to slice Fukuchi's neck and uses the one order to stop the attack. He then makes the most flawless strike of his life, which cannot be stopped midway. He regrets it on seeing Fukuchi's face, but the sword goes through him. However, at that moment, Fukuchi reveals that he had stolen Poe's notebook and the two old friends end up in it. At Mersault, Theodore and his vampire guard spies are welcomed by an excited Nikolai who hands him the antidote. Apart from one other foe, Desai was the most formidable for Theodore, but it cost him his life. He was only able to injure Theodore's hand, which has him asking one of the vampires to pilot it. As for Sigma, he will never regain consciousness after the information overload. Theodore also threatens to erase Nikolai for trying to kill him. Nikolai just takes it in stride as another game. But before Theodore can leave in his helicopter, one of the vampire guards stabs him while Desai coolly walks out. Back at the airport, Bram has Fukuzawa save Aya. His whole body has regenerated and he bows as he says he is her knight. The missiles are disabled and Ranpo wakes up at Sushi, who is again human. At Mersault, everyone is shocked and Desai explains that he had a lot of uncertain cards, but he knew one weakness of his enemy: Theodore didn't have allies. However, Desai was able to guess that Ranpo negotiated with Bram to manipulate the vampire guard who took over the helicopter. Meanwhile, Shuya was never a vampire and was just faking it. Shuya used his anti-gravitational ability to stop the bullet at the last minute from hitting Desai. The mafia member keeps complaining about the fake fangs and the risky bullet-stopping move, while Desai continues to gloat over the execution of his plan. Having Theodore drown was just a move to have his hand injured so that a vampire could take over the helicopter. The vampire is then commanded by Bram to smash the helicopter into Mersault. Just before it explodes, Theodore says the Aramaic phrase asking why has God forsaken him. In Poe's novel, Fukuzawa and Fukuchi go into the memory of their childhood days. Fukuchi says he did all he needed to do and Fukuzawa finally guesses his real motive. The UN will pass a special amendment stating that a special command be put into place that can override other nations' military to prevent an incident like today. The chief in command of the army of mankind will have one order but won't dominate the world. Fukuchi's real goal always was to rid the world of war. Atsushi wakes up Kanikita and Tanizaki and says the machine made sure they would wake up without injuries. He says it is all the culmination of 36 years. Fukuchi then reveals he once received a message from his sword, Amenagozan. In 36 years there would be a world war sparked by multinational conflict and it would take 210 million lives. He also tells Fukuzawa that wars only take place because there is an us and them. But in the future, as globalism takes over, everyone will become us and war will fade. He says he cannot wait, hence the terror plot to rush the process. Fukuzawa sympathizes but says uniting humanity is impossible in one night. But Fukuchi deduces that the world will soon form a supernation with a commander. Once that happens, the last command in the reality-altering page will take effect. No one will question the need to unify humanity, and so war and the need for war will stop for good. Fukuzawa points out the flaw: without war, there is still a dictatorship of the commander. Absolute power corrupts, and it would also corrupt the commander of the army of mankind. Fukuchi says that is why he wants Fukuzawa to become the commander and he offers the sword to kill him. As the hero who stopped the terror plot, Fukuzawa will naturally be the first choice, which will also save the armed detective agency. This is Fukuchi's plan all along, as he configured the one order to respond to Fukuzawa's voice, which is why he was able to use it. Fukuchi says he also made sure he would not sacrifice more than 500 people, his cost for peace. He adds that the proposal was Theodore's but knew he was evil, which is why he kept him in the Mersal prison. Desai pulls out Theodore's hand from the wreckage and declares that he is dead. He then congratulates Nikolai, who is conflicted. The clown takes the hand and says his life changed after meeting Theodore. He kisses the hand and Chiya wonders why Desai is not being snarky, but he feels pity for Nikolai. He simply takes the antidote and leaves Nikolai. Back in reality, Fukuzawa tries to kill Fukuzawa, but in a flashback, he remembers saying he always wished to have the strength to protect his loved ones while Fukuchi wished for world peace. Fukuzawa throws the sword away, but suddenly Teruko stabs Fukuchi. He always knew Fukuzawa could not kill him and had Teruko as a backup. She is furious as she gives her sword to Fukuzawa and tells him not to ruin the plan. Fukuchi falls and Fukuzawa catches him. Fukuzawa tears up as he asks if there is no other way, but Fukuchi doesn't respond. Everyone including Techo, Kenji, Lucy and Kyoka looks on as Fukuzawa screams. Ranpo then gives him the one order and feels regret as he recalls Fukuchi being the first guest when they opened the agency. Unable to destroy the one order, Ranpo realizes it is a curse that Fukuchi has bestowed on Fukuzawa. 2 hours later, the airport is on fire and someone throws Atsushi. A man with a mask attacks with the time-space sword, but Akutagawa stops him. He says they will end the story that Fukuchi started and Atsushi asks if it is just the two of them. Akutagawa asks if they need more and Atsushi smiles and they attack the masked man head-on. Of course, no one can kill Desai. Sorry, we doubted you. But does this mean that Chiya was acting out those vampire gargling noises? How did no one laugh? Though it does feel a little implausible that Theodore, the great planner and mastermind, fell for it. Or maybe he always knew about Chiya and Desai's plan to an extent and didn't stop them as it aligned with the deal he made with Fukuchi? However, not a great idea to kill the unkillable demon by crashing the helicopter into a building. Desai, you are better than that. Watch us say "I told you so" once Theodore pops up again in Season 6. By the way, it is so satisfying to see how each plot twist and move is explained in Episode 11 of Bungo Stray Dogs Season 5. Guess Fukuchi was always the good guy, he just used the decay of the angel to control that world war that was supposed to take place in 36 years. Oh, and what happened to Sigma? What is it that he learned about Theodore? Is it his secret ability? Come on, wake up and tell us. Who was that formidable foe as well? Is it the masked man? And what happens to all our faves who died and were turned into vampires? Can they now switch between being human and vamps like Atsushi and Akutagawa? So many questions. Give us the next season ASAP. Sadly, Bungo Stray Dogs Season 5 will not be getting an Episode 12 as the creators have planned to conclude the season with Episode 11. Before we wrap up, make sure to hit that like button if you're as hyped as we are for Episode 12. And don't forget to share your theories and predictions in the comments. We love hearing from you. Thanks for joining us today, and stay tuned for more Bungo Stray Dogs updates. Until next time, take care and keep loving anime.